All right, let's tackle a really counterintuitive idea today, one that takes a virtue we all know, selflessness, and flips it completely on its head. What if I told you that the very act of living for others is actually the most selfish thing you can do? It sounds wild, right? Okay, let's dive in and see what this is all about.
I mean, think about it. From the time we're kids, we're pretty much all taught the same thing, right? That the best way to be, the highest moral ground, is to be selfless. You sacrifice, you put the needs of your family, your friends, your community before your own. It's this core belief in so many cultures that the truly good people, they're the ones who live for others.
But then, you see a quote like this one. It comes from someone named Zufeng, and it's a shocking reversal. He says, those who claim to live for others are the most selfish people in the world. Whoa. That is a seriously powerful and, let's be honest, provocative claim. So, let's spend the next few minutes really unpacking what this means and where an idea like this even comes from. Okay, so how on earth can being selfless be selfish? To really get this, we've got to look at the whole philosophical framework behind the argument. So this whole idea is a central part of the teachings of Xu Feng from a place called Lifechanyuan, which is also known as the second home. And the core concept is this: that natural, fundamental drive we all have to live for ourselves, it's not a bad thing, it's not a sin. In fact, this philosophy argues it's actually in perfect alignment with the natural order of things, what the source material calls the will of the greatest creator.
Okay, so if living for yourself is the natural way to be, that brings up a pretty big question. What about all those people who insist they only live for others? Who are they really? And according to this philosophy, what's their true motivation? Well, the source material here is, let's just say, it's unflinchingly specific. It does not paint a flattering picture at all. The text says that people who claim to live for others are often cowardly, ignorant, or even hypocritical. The argument is basically that they're using this noble idea of self-sacrifice as a kind of shield, a way to hide a lack of their own personal will, or maybe just an unwillingness to really take full responsibility for their own lives.
And the really crucial point here is the damage this mindset supposedly causes. It's seen as this double-edged sword. On the one hand, it stops the so-called helper from ever really developing their own strength and character. But on the other hand, it can actually make the people they're helping weak and dependent on them, essentially robbing them of the chance to build up their own strength. All right, let's shift gears a bit and look at how this whole argument is grounded in, of all things, a biological analogy. The philosophy really finds its justification in what it sees as a fundamental law of nature. Okay, let's think about this at the most basic level imaginable: a single cell. Every single cell in your body is working, first and foremost, for its own survival. It's trying to maintain its own integrity. It's not trying to live for the cell next door. It's focused on its own job, its own function. And if we zoom out from the cell, the exact same principle applies to our organs. Your heart, your lungs, your liver. Each one is working to sustain its own structure and do its own unique job. I mean, the heart isn't trying to be the brain, right? By being the absolute best heart it can be, that's how it contributes to the health of the entire body. And this is the logical leap the philosophy makes from that analogy. Just like a cell, just like an organ, each person's primary, most natural duty is to first secure their own existence and to realize their own value. The argument is that to do anything else is to basically go against the fundamental laws of life itself. So, this all brings us to a really clear fork in the road. The philosophy presents two totally opposing ways of living, and they lead to some dramatically different places. And yeah, the contrast is pretty stark. On one path, the one where you claim to live for others, you end up losing your own identity, you create dependency in other people, and it can even lead to hypocrisy and resentment. But on the other path, the one where you live for yourself first, well, that's presented as the way to build real strength, to achieve true independence, and to find genuine fulfillment, all by aligning with that natural law we were just talking about. And this quote from the source really nails the core idea. It says, "Only those who live for themselves can contribute to others. Only those who love themselves can love others." See, this isn't an argument for just being selfish and ignoring everybody else. Not at all. It's an argument that you have to become a whole, strong, complete individual before you have anything of actual value to give away. You can't really love other people if you don't first love yourself. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important piece of this whole puzzle, because it's not just about looking out for number one.
It's actually about completely redefining what it means to genuinely and effectively help other people.
So how do you actually become helpful to the world, according to this view? Well, the text lays out a pretty clear 4-step process. Step 1, manage yourself well. Get your own stuff together. Step 2, perfect your own character. Step 3, solidify your own life. Build a really stable foundation. And only then, once your own house is in order, will you have the real capacity, the wisdom, the resources to actually contribute to others in a meaningful way. When you get right down to it, it all boils down to a super simple principle. You just cannot give what you do not have. It's like trying to pour water for someone from an empty cup. It's a nice thought, but it's a hollow gesture, and in the end, it's useless. You have to fill your own cup first. And that really leaves us with a pretty provocative question to think about, doesn't it? After digging into this philosophy from Zofang and Lifechanyuan, what feels more true to you? Is real, impactful generosity born from self-sacrifice? Or does it actually come from a place of self-fulfillment, from personal strength? It's a challenging idea, for sure, and definitely one worth mulling over.